Hi, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville and hosting another episode of Kibitzing with Kagan, featuring one of our many talented gubernatorial candidates. With me tonight is Laura Neuman. I just want for the record to say that I am taping this on September 20th, and Ms. Newman is not yet a decided candidate, but she agreed to have a chat in order to get this in the can. So if she becomes a candidate and you are watching this, that's because she decided to run. So Laura, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this goofy thing before you even decide whether to run.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be included and to be asked. I'm really happy to be here.
That's great. Well, thank you for even thinking about running for governor. It's a big damn deal.
Yes, it is. It's a big state, and it's a place where I've called home the majority of my life, and I feel really honored by the support and the encouragement so far.
That's great. So we're going to get started with the Kibbitz here, and I'm going to launch by offering you 60 seconds, and I do time everybody, to tell us about your background and why it is that you're running to become Maryland's next governor. You may begin.
60 seconds. Okay, so I started off in East Baltimore. I have lived in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, run economic development in Howard County, been the county executive in Anne Arundel, and I own a house in Somerset. So I have personally covered a good portion of this state. I mean, it's very personal for me. My circumstances were very challenging in the beginning. I grew up in inner city Baltimore in a challenging situation and a troubled family. And for me, that didn't really provide a path to opportunity. And despite numerous extraordinary challenges along the way, I decided to move forward and try and build a life here. I actually thought I would leave Maryland and that this wouldn't be my home because there was so much trauma and dysfunction attached to my legacy here. But, I decided to come back and make my home here. I built a business here very successfully. I went to school here. Loyola University took me in as an MBA candidate without finishing high school or college. I'm grateful for the business environment that supported me as a tech entrepreneur. And also, while I had some real challenges here, I also had some great success in that the biggest challenge I had was being unfortunately raped in Baltimore City. And this is where that problem was solved. And so I feel grateful as well as
we're going to have to stop on that. There's so much to learn about you. Assuming you are a candidate, people will be really excited to learn about all those things that you just referenced, the hard parts and the exciting parts. But this is going to be a lot more lighthearted and getting to know you personally.
Okay. Would you like to start over?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't know how deep you wanted to be, but the truth is that the challenges are part of the story. So, also feeling very grateful for being here.
That's great. So we're going to start with your childhood, Laura. First off, so you referenced some of this. Where did you grow up? Did you have siblings? And where are you in birth order?
So I am originally from East Baltimore. There are 5 children in our family, and I was the middle of 5.
Okay.
My sister was developmentally disabled, and so that gave us an interesting perspective growing up.
Okay. Did you have a pet growing up?
My favorite pet and first pet was Rhonda, who was a rabbit. And that was the name that I wanted when I was young. So that's why I gave her that name.
I like it. Were you a good student?
Well, if you consider my start, it was very difficult to be a good student. I was moved around Baltimore City public schools quite a few times. But I don't think I would be considered a standout student, but I loved school as a refuge. And I particularly loved the library.
Great. Who was your favorite teacher and why?
Mrs. Story was my first grade teacher, and she introduced me to reading. So we didn't really read in our house growing up. It wasn't something that we didn't have books in our house. And so this is when I was first exposed to the concept of reading. And she really shared her love of teaching with us. It was pretty special.
Thank you for Mrs. Story for helping launch your story then. What was your favorite TV show as a kid?
Well, I grew up with 3 brothers. And so when you have 3 brothers and you have a Democratic household, that means that they usually get to decide what's on television. So I watched a lot of Speed Racer.
Got it. Okay. What was your fantasy career as a child? What did you think?
Well, That's a tough one to answer because in my circumstances, I didn't really see careers per se. And so I didn't know what was available until I became older. Once I did learn about what was out in the world, I realized that business was a good fit for me. I like solving problems and getting things done. I wasn't introduced to public service till later, and I have to say I've truly loved that.
Terrific. Who was your mentor when you were young?
Well, I do believe that there's this narrative that a mentor is essential to our success, and I am a big believer in mentorship, and I've done quite a bit of mentoring myself, but candidly, that wasn't a role that was available to me when I was growing up. In fact, I didn't know what a mentor was. We lived in an environment and in a community where that just wasn't part of the structure or the fabric of the community.
Okay, well, let's shift to something maybe happier, which is hobbies.
Oh no, that's all happy. I'm good. It was a journey.
Okay. What is your favorite sport to play or watch?
So I guess I'm going to have to come into the category of atypical candidates. We did not play organized sports, but I did a lot of gymnastics in the backyard. We had a backyard in East Baltimore, and there were a lot of cartwheels and flips and things like that. So I certainly enjoyed that. And we did a lot of walking.
There you go. Did you pick up any new hobby during COVID?
Well, I spent a lot of time with my children. That was lovely, and got to be close with them in a way that you don't get when they're at school and you're at work every day. I'd have to think about that. Hobby. I did start driveway drinks. So with my neighbors, a couple of women in the neighborhood, we needed some social connection. So we started having driveway drinks, and that was so super fun. It helped all of us make it through.
Absolutely. Other than this podcast, obviously, do you have a favorite podcast, something you enjoy listening to that you would recommend to others?
So I like anything about inspiration and courage. When I love people's personal stories. And so I am personally inspired by, examples of courage, big and small. And I like that connectedness to people. So I have a particular obsession with biographies, autobiographies, and documentaries. So.
Great. Anything in particular, or just generally?
Always inspired by them. And truthfully, I don't have a particular subject that interests me. It's a wide range.
Okay.
And so even if it's a topic I'm not personally familiar with, then I still find value in the experience. I love learning about people's lives.
I love that. Have you binged a TV show recently?
LuLaRoe just recently. I admit it. I'm on the record.
Okay. Not one I know.
It just came out as a documentary about the clothing company.
Okay. We're going to pivot to the arts. What is your favorite genre of music?
So I am a Grateful Dead fan.
Wow.
I'm a well-known Deadhead, I admit it.
You can see that by your t-shirt that you're wearing. And
I have the Jerry Bears. They're in the closet. I like classic rock music. I like reggae. I like jazz. I like rock music. I like rap music. I like country music. I enjoy all kinds of music, but my go-to comfort is in the Grateful Dead and classic rock.
Okay. Do you have a favorite song or anthem, a tune that lifts you up and inspires you?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. Have you seen the documentary I Am Woman, Helen Reddy?
Of course.
I did not know that story. What a joy to watch that show and know the history of that song. I'm playing it constantly these days.
That is a great anthem.
I know, it's amazing.
And the documentary did a good job, a really good job.
They really did. I didn't know all that about her life. It was fascinating. I couldn't turn it off.
Yes. Do you have a favorite venue to enjoy the arts, whether that's concerts or theater or someplace that you like to go?
That has not been easy lately.
No, for sure.
I will say that I really love live music. Mm-hmm. So anywhere that I can go to listen to music is joyful for me. And I'm going to see Trombone Shorty next Friday.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. And I'm anxious to be back out there and hear music again. I mean, I listen at home, but it's not the same as in person.
Agreed. Where is Trombone Shorty playing?
Baltimore City.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As someone who used to have a radio show on Broadway musicals, I need to ask what you're up to. Top 5 favorite Broadway musicals are.
I don't think I could name 5 Broadway musicals, but I will tell you that I got to see, what's the one with the Good Witch?
Wicked.
Yes, Wicked. I got to go see that with my family, and that was honestly an extraordinary experience. Everyone should see a Broadway show at some point in their lives. My daughter wanted to go, and it's just not something I had ever given any thought to. And so I have to say it was a truly magical experience. I would go back and see that again.
Well, off camera, I will give you some other suggestions too. There's so much to love.
My friend is, I have a friend who is, she critiques musicals and plays. So, you know, they've kind of taken me in a couple times, but I have to say Wicked was my favorite.
All right, all right. Is there a book, Laura, that has been particularly meaningful and had an impact on your life?
Well, I am an avid reader, and I will tell you the library is what changed my life. I mean, I really learned about the world through the library. So many books have touched me in many ways. If you want to know like the specific book, the first one that really had an impact that shifted my thinking, it was the Autobiography of Frederick Douglass. And while many would think we don't have much in common, the truth is that we do, and that I had tremendous connection and respect for his determination, resilience. And, you know, I actually visited his house in Annapolis when I was the county executive in Anne Arundel, and felt pretty honored to be able to do that. I just think that he is an exemplary human being and really shifted the thinking in our country. So I was very inspired by him. And I think anyone who reads that book would be truly inspired.
If you haven't yet had a chance, the State House now has a sculpture of Frederick Douglass and one of Harriet Tubman. And
that's right. I've read about it, but because of COVID, we've all been stuck at home.
I know. When you get a chance, it's really inspiring. They did a great job. We're going to shift to personal.
Okay.
What is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Oh gosh, like 100 of them. If you consider where I started, you kind of had to take risks to change your narrative or your life trajectory. So probably the one I'm best known for is making a bet on a company that was insolvent, that was about to close down and couldn't pay their bills. I signed on as the CEO, cashed in all my savings, all of my 401k, paid my mortgage on a credit card because they couldn't afford to pay me a salary. And I signed on to run it and turn it around, which I did. That's
impressive. Good for you. Have you ever, this is a little timely, have you ever broken a bone, and how?
Oh gosh. Yes, only once.
Okay.
I broke my leg snowboarding.
Oh, well, that's fun though. Not something to do again.
That's a little embarrassing to admit. It was only the second day I had been on a snowboard. So yeah, I got off the lift and promptly helicoptered my leg, and had to be airlifted out of the ski resort. Ouch. Which, by the way, was the first time I'd ever been to a ski resort. So it was 1999, but I decided that I was not going to let that hold me back. Once I healed, which took a really long time, I have 2 pins in my legs, in my left leg. I decided I would go and snowboard again just to prove that I could do it and to not be afraid of it. So once I got back up and on that board and got down the hill, I was done.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Thank you. You're very kind.
What is your favorite gadget, technological gadget, not counting your telephone?
Well, I don't have any gadgets other than my telephone. Okay. I have my iPhone, and my AirPods, and my laptop. That's all I have. Okay. Are there any others? I mean, should I have others?
There's no should. I just
I'm not a gadget girl. I'm kind of I like the personal connection, so I'm not.
Right.
It's not my. If you asked any of the guys in my family, though, they could give you a long list.
Okay. Do you speak any language or languages other than English?
Only Mom. I speak Mom. I can look at my kids and I know exactly what they're thinking and what's
okay. What was your first car, and how old were you when you got it?
Oh my gosh, it was a Ventura, and I was 18. I bought it myself. It did not have air conditioning. It did not have shocks. It did not have a radio. And in order to see over the dashboard, I had to sit on a pillow.
Oh.
So every time I would drive on like 295, I'd hear the bottom hit the ground. Oh my. But I paid for it myself in monthly installments until it was paid off. It was very old when I bought it, but it got me through, and it worked. I actually lived out of that car for a little while, so it served me well.
Wow. Tell us about your first crush or first love.
Oh my gosh. His name was Joe Gentili. I was 13. I was crazy about him, and it was the 70s, so disco was a thing. And there was this tiny little bar in a strip mall in Baltimore County that I would take the bus to and meet him there, and we would dance all afternoon because it was a disco in the afternoon for teens and in the evening for adults. And he was my first kiss. but at the time, like, he was we're still good friends, and he's just a wonderful human being. But he really, for me, was just, the sun rose and set on him. He's still a great guy. We're very good friends, and I've enjoyed staying in touch with him over the years.
That's lovely. Something important that you learned from one of your parents?
Well,
it sounds like complicated, I know.
We had to short circuit the whole family story. I will tell you that I guess if I was going to be on the positive side with this part of the conversation, it would be that I learned how to survive. My parents were very thrifty, and they were very good at taking limited circumstances and making them work. And for that, I am truly grateful. I mean, I really, truly learned that from them.
Good. You've referenced your family, your kids, a few times. Will you just tell us how many and how old?
Sure. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is 15 and my son is 17. Okay. And they're pretty awesome. They're both taller than I am now. And I am super proud of the human beings they're growing into.
That's fantastic. Last question in this category. What ticks you off?
Oh boy. The thing that bothers me the most is unfairness. I really, really have a problem with it. I can take most things, like I can work my way through most things, but unfairness drives me crazy.
I like it. Next category is at home. What is your favorite junk food?
Pizza.
Okay. What is your least favorite food? Something you really won't eat?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms. Okay. All right.
There's nothing wrong with mushrooms. I really am good with them. I just can't personally eat them.
Okay. What do you cook especially well?
You know, as a mom, you kind of have to, or dad probably, you have to learn how to cook. You know, you have to feed your family. So I have learned how to take whatever's in the refrigerator and turn it into a meal. So it's not like I have a special dish, because, you know, their tastes evolve over time. It's more that I can take whatever I have on hand and turn it into a dish that they will eat and like.
That's a good, what is it, Top Chef or Chopped or something, right? Your next career is on TV.
There you go.
What is your least favorite household chore?
Laundry. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Do not like to do laundry.
Okay.
Now it's not the putting it in the washing machine that's the problem.
I didn't think out. Yes. Okay. God forbid your house is on fire. Other than people or pets, what would you hope to rescue?
Pictures.
Okay.
Not a tough call. Like, I now have downloaded all of my children's pictures, which are like 35,000.
Oh my God.
Onto a disc, or not a disc, a USB drive, because like discs are so yesterday.
Right.
And I intentionally downloaded them and put it in a fire safe box.
Yep.
I would never want to lose that. Like, I can't even bear the thought of it. You can have everything else if I can have that.
Right. That makes sense. Next category, Laura, is travel. What is the best vacation you've ever taken? Where was it?
Best vacation. Well, it's not really that it was my favorite vacation, because probably my personal favorite was going to a spa in Arizona by myself. But best family vacation, we planned for a long time, and we went on a Disney cruise. And that experience with my kids was really special, because they were young enough that they don't usually have enough independence, you know, and on this ship, they could walk around and, you know, together and enjoy themselves and not feel supervised all the time. There were probably 1,000 cameras on that ship, but I felt like they were safe and I could relax too. And so it was a vacation where we could all enjoy ourselves.
That's lovely. Do you have a favorite place in the state of Maryland, possibly that you've discovered on the campaign trail?
Well, I do have a favorite place. I mean, I grew up in Baltimore, and so that's a special place for me. And of course, Annapolis was my home most of my adult life, and I will always love Annapolis. And in fact, you know, at some point we'll move back there. But if you're thinking kind of off the beaten track, the truth is it's Crisfield. I have a house in Crisfield, and it's a really special place for me. My kids have grown up there in the summers. I've had a house for 9 years now, and the people are lovely. The view of the water is extraordinary. There's just not a more beautiful sunset in the entire state of Maryland, and it's like that every day. So I don't know why we're not really spending more time down there as Marylanders, but I have to say I truly love it. It's really special for me.
What's it like for you then on the annual Taw's Crab Feast when everyone in the world descends on Crisfield?
Well, I think that's terrific, and it helps the local economy. But what I feel about it personally is that it's a big giant sweat fest. And so, I mean, let's be honest, it's always the middle of July. And so I try to wear like the lightest clothing I can possibly find and still be covered in all the essential places.
Right.
But yeah, it's really hot, and I only live about a mile from there. So I go home and, relax after that. But yeah, I'm glad that we do it. I'm glad that there's this movement to get into the community at least once a year. I'd love to see more people there more often, but the people there truly appreciate that.
As you probably know, this year it's happening in October because of,
yes.
So as far as I know, it's still happening. And
that might become a tradition. I'm just saying.
There you go.
It wouldn't be a bad thing.
Do you have a favorite bar or restaurant in the state of Maryland?
So probably my favorite bar has always been Middleton's in Annapolis. I haven't been there much since I had children because, the truth is that the priorities shift when you're taking care of kids, but that's a really lovely place for me. They have live music there, and it is my go-to hometown bar.
Excellent. Crab cakes, good there?
They are good there. There are a lot of places you can get good crab cakes in Maryland.
Indeed, that's true.
Including in Crisfield.
Yes, true. Yes, of course. If neither COVID nor time nor money were an option, where in the world would you like to travel?
That's a good question. Probably the Antarctic. I mean, I would love to, see more remote parts of the globe. I've had the good fortune of, I took a year after my company was sold with my family, and we traveled for a year all over the United States. And I loved that. It was extraordinary to see the rest of the country. I mean, we saw a good portion of it. The parts that I didn't see were Hawaii and Alaska, and I'd love to go there. But as far as really, truly remote locations, I'd like to see the Antarctic.
Nice. I would say that's a cool answer, but that seems like a really bad pun. What is something you always bring with you when you travel?
Well, definitely shampoo and a toothbrush. I have been known to forget makeup.
That's not a bad
As far as personal items, I don't know. Years of travel have taught me that the less you carry, the better. So I am really proud of my ability to get a week's worth of luggage into a tiny carry-on.
Nice.
That's my goal, is to take as little as possible.
Good for you. We're shifting to social media. And this may be a little different for you since you're just getting started here, but what percentage of your Facebook posts and tweets do you write yourself?
Well, I write everything, and which is probably not good. If you've read some of it, you'd see that it probably should have been reviewed, but I write everything that I put out there in the world. And I haven't been active on Facebook for quite some time, or on Twitter. And that's because I just wanted to be positive, and I think we need more positive messages out there. And so, I decided to take a break from it for a while, but anytime I write something, it's just really from the heart, and it's very genuine. And occasionally I don't have enough words to express what I really want to say, but overall, I just feel like we're all connected, and this is one means of connecting. And so that's kind of how I view it. So I write it myself.
Okay. So this may be similarly challenging here. What is your favorite social media platform? And
at the moment, it's LinkedIn. Although I do think LinkedIn is shifting a little bit more to more of a political platform. But what I like about LinkedIn is that it has been about sharing stories in not just business, but also in professions. And so I've seen a lot of examples of success or challenges or resilience from people that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise, because the network continues to grow. And so I love that. I love seeing other people's experiences and being able to share in that with them.
Nice. We are going now to the category of politics, if you can imagine such a thing. So this is an especially interesting question for you. Why are you a Democrat?
So yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. I started as a Democrat. I was raised as a Democrat. And I was introduced to politics in Baltimore City. My mother worked for a Baltimore City politician named George Santoni. And George Santoni went to federal prison 3 times in the time that I knew him. And so for me, I had this idea about what democratic politics were supposed to look like.
Mm.
And, growing up with that, I thought I wanted to leave that or escape that, which is why I became a Republican. When I became county executive, I have to be honest and say, I didn't think about the issues per se. I was thinking about running government. Like, what does that look like? Are the roads working? Are we focused on the things that make our community run? And I was challenged on a lot of what we would call more social issues. And what I realized is that what I believed didn't align with the Republican Party. And I made the decision to leave the party. I went independent first because I didn't really want that to be the story. I knew I was going to change to Democrat, but it was a very personal decision. And I didn't really want it to be a discussion per se. I just wanted to be able to do it on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I made the change was because I better align with Democratic issues. I think we should get out of people's personal lives and let people be happy and support them in that any way that we can. So that's why I am a Democrat.
Nice. When did you first think about running for office?
I really wasn't planning to run for office. I had decided never to run again. In fact, after losing the primary.
Time. I don't even mean now.
Oh, okay. So I said I would never run again because I meant I would never run again as a Republican. But I didn't originally plan to run because I was appointed to the county executive position. And I felt tremendously honored by that. And I had no idea that I would love public service as much as I did. I mean, it was just a joy for me to be in the community and feel like I could make a difference. Mm-hmm. But when I didn't align with the party platform, I had to really think about that. And I didn't plan to run again, truthfully. I spent the last several years writing a book and advising early stage technology companies. So my decision to get back in is because I just believe in what's available, in Maryland. I just want to see everyone have an opportunity. And, that I don't feel like that's available to everyone. So I'd like to change that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the very, very, very most right-wing conservative and 100 being the very, very most left-wing liberal, where would you place yourself ideologically?
So I think I'm a moderate. What does the moderate mean, though? For me, that means that that's not a tough call for me. I believe in opportunity for everyone. I believe in protecting the most vulnerable. I believe in funding education. I believe in pro-choice. I believe in regulations for gun regulations, gun control. And I believe in letting people marry and love who they love. And so that's what matters to me. But I also believe that we have to do that within the framework of a budget that works and meets the needs financially of our community.
Nice. Tell us, who is a shero or hero of yours in politics, living or dead?
Oh, in politics. It's interesting that you asked that question because for a long time, I didn't really appreciate Bill Clinton, and I've come to better appreciate his role as a policymaker and a leader. And I would say the same is also true for Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. I think it's very difficult to identify with a particular person because we often look at what we like about that person, but we ignore what we didn't particularly love about that person. And so I don't know. I think it's time to redefine what success looks like. So
or it's flip side. We look at what we dislike and we overlook the.
Fair enough. That's a very valid point.
Laura, make a pitch for a nonprofit, a Maryland nonprofit that you support personally.
That's an easy one. Center for Hope. I could name 10 sitting here. Every year I pick a handful of organizations to support financially. And the one that I keep coming back to was the Baltimore Child Abuse Center. I've been on the board for a long time. Adam Rosenberg, who runs it, is a longtime friend. He was the prosecutor in my rape case. I just think the work he does is extraordinary. It is now the Center for Hope as part of LifeBridge Health. And the work they do serves the most vulnerable in our community. And I just think that they're extraordinary. And so if you don't know about them, I encourage you to take a look.
Perfect. Thank you. We have some time left, but we need to start wrapping up. briefly talk about what the Black Lives Matter movement meant for you.
So I actually did a LinkedIn post on this subject because I think a lot of people really struggled with what does it really mean? And I had to like give that some thought sitting where I am. Now, I grew up in inner city Baltimore, but people look at me and they have this impression that it was Roland Park. And so I felt I had to be honest about it in addressing it. And what I came to was when I was 19, there was a bench warrant for my arrest. And it was hard to admit that. But the truth is that when that happened, I wasn't afraid for my life, even though I was scared. So I was scared, but I never thought I would die. And so where I came out on that is that breathing is a human right. And we have to recognize that not all of us are living the same experience.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. Fast forward, you're governor of the state of Maryland and you get a windfall of money and you are the only decision maker. How would you want to spend it?
Well, I feel very strongly about the special needs community. We call them special needs. My sister is developmentally disabled. I don't think we've done enough to support that community, but also that is tied very closely to education and the importance of making sure that everyone has the opportunity for a good education and that's available to them. It shouldn't be something that's only available to well-off families. So those things are very important to me, but I'm going to add also removing rape kits from the shelves. That's not done in Maryland. It needs
Shocking that Larry Hogan vetoed that bill. That's just amazing.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. I did not know that. I
have one last question for you because we are out of time. The last question, and the one that I use at the very end of every single edition of my podcast.
I'm scared.
Which is, Laura Neuman, what is your hidden secret superpower? What is the skill or talent that you have, something most folks can't do?
Well, I'm sure many folks can do this, but my superpower is that I get people at all points on the socioeconomic spectrum. I've lived everywhere there, fortunate and not so fortunate, and I know what it feels like to be in every one of those positions. And that's why I love people. I love to connect with them and relate to them wherever they are.
I think that is not a common skill. That's great. Laura Neuman, thank you so much for taking the time to kibitz with me today and to do so even before you're officially decided. So wishing you the best personally and politically, and I look forward to crossing paths with you sometime soon.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to have this opportunity and grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All the best.